little shadows, it's me again, the Shadow Reader here today to give you yet another wonderful little rant. And of course, I'm quite sure many of you either rolling your eyes at this point in time, or you're at this point just, you don't really know what in the world to think about. Or you've probably heard this message so many times, but maybe you're curious enough to know what my own personal thoughts are on this one. And I have to be completely and utterly frank here, and I don't mean to be one of those kind of people who sits there and, talks continuously like a friggin' broken record. I mean, hell, just as I talk as of right now is already a broken record enough. Having to hear the same topic over and over again being said repeatedly by everyone out there in the freaking universe right now is already ridiculous enough. But if anything, though, I truly believe that this is honestly a lot more serious than we make ourselves out to be. Now, like I put in my last little video where I said that left or right, it doesn't matter because, in the end, we're all screwed. Both sides, political based, are all both scams. They don't care about you, nor will they ever care about you. All they care about is your vote and your money. That's ultimately all that they care about. If they truly did care about you, this country would honestly be a lot better than anything as of now. Unfortunately, though, this kind of more or less goes into the whole PC bullshit nowadays. Or how as I like to sit there and call it, PC principle. Yeah, I know, that's from South Park. Sue me already. But it's true. PC principle from South Park is literally the exact representation of what exactly is going on and what is wrong with this nation today. And unfortunately, what the major consequences are ultimately going to be if PC culture and PC babies and PC fucking principle continues on rolling over and sitting there and spitting their bullshit out repeatedly. Now, I'm going to be completely frank here. The fact of the matter that Tumblr is literally going to sit there and implode in and of its own self due to the fact that porn and other crazier things like that are being completely taken off of there is honestly a huge blessing in disguise for a lot of people. Because something that honestly this means? It means that ultimately PC culture in and of its own self is going to have to find either its new home base, or people are going to sit there and go somewhere else, like say 4chan or things like that. And then they're going to wind up seeing the reality of things and not be this crazy PC baby kind of person. And of course, not just that, but Tumblr obviously is basically the home base for the social justice warrior-based idiocity on both sides of the matter. I mean, mostly on the, leftist side of the matter, but there's also a lot of right-wing idiocity, too, to be said on the matter of, PC culture, but things like that. But getting back to what I'm saying here, this is obviously a little rant about the aspect of PC culture in and of its own self, and how it's pretty much a literal carbon copy of the religious alt-right back in the early 80s, 90s, and even in the early 2000s as well. Now, let's pretty much talk about this. Theocracy. This is something that the religious right have been wanting to sit there and have for the longest time. And the very idea of it makes any kind of crazy fundamentalist pastor want to sit there and wet their freaking pants with anticipation. It was something that was honestly implemented greatly during around the times of the satanic panic of the 80s and 90s. Hell, maybe even as early as the 60s and 70s and such like that. Main reason why exactly this is the case is the fact that the satanic panic in of its own self was basically your supposed modern day witch hunt. Groups of people out there that wanted to sit there and completely take away the rights of other human beings and, condemn and claim that the devil was working in America and things like that and other bullcrap things as well. I mean, obviously lives were ruined, people were sent to prison, jail time was excessive, literally people's careers were completely destroyed and dashed upon the rocks, if you want to put it that manner. People in of their own self had to sit there and suffer so greatly because of the crazy fundamentalist right-wing SJW bullshit that was continuously spitting and being said in the fucking pulpits. Now, a lot of people honestly were a lot more relieved when this entire thing really started to die down and people saw the reality of things. that this entire thing that many fundamentalists, if, and not all of them, were saying were absolute bullshit, and people started to sit there and, look upon with rationality, skepticism, and many other wonderful kind of things that should have been done since the very fucking beginning, but I digress. And of course, with all of that, we thought that the religious right would never come back again, that it's been so heavily forced out that it's literally never going to come back again. Well, newsflash to all of you out there, it's coming back, and it's coming back with a big, fat fucking force. Now, you might be wondering, what exactly is triggering this kind of thing? What exactly is starting this whole thing up again? Like, what kind of monster would be willing to sit there and open up the door for something like this to happen? And this is exactly where I get at with the PC, fake liberals, pseudo-liberals kind of groups. PC babies. Oh gosh, people, I have a really big rant on these idiots out there. PC liberals have literally besmirched, destroyed, shat upon, and spit upon the reality of liberalism. Real liberalism, classical liberalism that was implemented by our own founding fathers and government since the very fucking beginning. And that in of its own self is basic freedoms that we have in our lives. Freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of press, all of these wonderful gifts that we ourselves are given by America, by Americans, has unfortunately been heavily besmirched and completely spat on by the PC left. Now, how is that, you might be asking? Well, it's about as simple can be. For one, censorship. Let's be completely frank here, people. These entirely fake liberals and of their own selves have been wanting to censor individuals that they didn't like for the longest time out there. And it's especially grown worse since 2015. Race wars, well, basically racial tension and things like that, we're starting to increase a lot more. And it's honestly right now so much to a point where it's at a head. I can't tell you how many times I've been on different kinds of articles that have anything remotely to do with white versus black, and there's literally a bunch of people in the comment section below, basically in the comment section below, that are sitting there and claiming that white people are disgusting, evil, filthy, demonic creatures or whatever, or the scum of the earth or some stupid crap like that. And that's because of the fact that this PC bullcrap has literally been pushed upon these people so heavily that they actually believe it. And of course, like I said, this is only fueling a lot more of the racial tension that's going on. But I don't want to get too deep into that just yet, because I don't want to get off topic. And it seems that I already have, and I apologize. But theocracies. I know that this is probably going to sit there and probably trigger the demonetization button, but I really just don't care. I'm not doing this for the money. I'm doing this for the sake of the fact that people need to know the truth. Theocracy, in and of its own self with the left, has a lot to do with Islam. And I can't sit there and say, how fucking ironic is it? Back then, it was the Bible and basic Christian teachings and things like that in the matter that were heavily looked upon. I mean, hell, it still is looked upon so heavily. In every Masonic temple that you go to, there is always a Bible. And you want to know what kind of Bible it is? King James Bible, specifically. King James only, solely in those temples, on those altars in the Masonic lodges. But, of course, getting back to Islam, Islam in and of its own self has literally gotten a lot more theocratic in this matter. And I want to sit there and make this straight. I have nothing against Muslims. I never have anything against Muslims. They want to sit there and pray and do all that kind of thing to Allah or whoever the hell they want to worship. Fine. I don't care. I'm a full believer in freedom of religion. I believe everybody should have the right to worship wherever the hell they want to sit there and worship, even if I think that it's absolute lunacy and ridiculous. I believe freedom of religion should be installed for everybody. Because you know something? Even though I think religion is a problem at times, does not exactly mean, though, that it's in and of its own self a terrible thing that wants to destroy everything. I mean, there are plenty of it in the books themselves, the Quran or the Bible or the Torah or whatever, that obviously want to sit there and completely fuck everyone over in retrospect in their fundamental beliefs. But I'm not saying, though, that, that's basically what all Muslims are, because they're not. Many good Muslims out there in the world today. And of course, we shouldn't look upon them so much by religion of its own self, but look upon them as the person that they truly are, in the inside. Of course, though, that's not to sit there and say, though, that the PC culture has ultimately become extremely theocratic with Islam in many different kinds of ways. For one, if you even remotely criticize anything that has to do with Islam or its holy book, the Quran, you will be labeled as a so-called Islamophobe. You will be looked upon as being the scum of the earth. You will be looked upon as being disgusting trash in so many different ways in many different kinds of PC culture, because Islam is a religion of peace. No, it ain't, people. If you ever read the Quran, I've read it. I haven't read the entirety of it. I plan to. I plan on getting a Quran and reading the whole motherfucker from beginning to fucking end, just like I've done with the Bible. If you actually read it, it's not a religion of peace. It is not a religion of peace. Even in the Quran itself, it claims that Allah is all deceiving. That Allah can deceive whoever it is He wishes to deceive. And it's disgusting. It truly is disgusting. I mean, the God of the Old Testament and everything like such in the Bible is the same exact way. I mean, He purposely deceives people. He hardens their hearts. He takes away their free will, supposedly. Well, their supposed free will that they have, in order to sit there and make His supposed presence known, and all that kind of crap. But the Quran is honestly a lot more explicit on this kind of matter. Tells you to strike off the heads of unbelievers. Tells you to sit there and slaughter these individuals out there that who are not, Muslims and of their own selves. I know that not every Muslim believes that, which is great, but there are plenty of them, I'm quite sure, that do believe this kind of thing. But what does this have to do with PC culture? It has a lot to do with PC culture. Now, even with that being said, though, I actually will be making a separate video on Islam relatively soon, so be ready for that. But to kind of more or less wrap up the Islam thing and the theocrat thing, basically what I'm saying is this. PC culture is so extremely supportive of a religion that's extremely misogynistic, garbage, homophobic bullshit. I mean, in so many different ways. I mean, look at literally Saudi Arabia and many other countries out there. I mean, not including the crazy religious Christian ones that want to sit there and kill off gay people. I'll be making another video on that one. That'll be a really fun one for you guys to enjoy. That are going off, throwing gay people off buildings, stoning women. Women can't even freaking drive. Or if they can drive, they have to have a chaperone. They have to have literally so many kind of things because they're all based on their stupid holy book. Or unholy book, as I like to call it. They treat people like dog shit, and that's the basics of the Quran and of its own self. You PC idiots who claim that they're opposed to bigotry, opposed to homophobia, opposed to the, who claim they're feminist and people like that. Who sit there and claim that, all of this in and of its own self is compatible with what they're teaching. Newsflash, it's not. It never will be. Another issue that I have with the PC culture is that the PC culture in and of its own self is homophobic and transphobic. Now, I know the word phobic in and of its own self seems a bit ironic. Sorry about that. Seems to be rather ironic in some ways, and maybe even be a little bit of an oxymoron to many of these people, but I have a lot of reasons as to why I honestly think that it is a literal homophobic, transphobic thing in disguise, for a lot of reasons. Number one, the trans-trenders. Not real transgender people, but trans-trenders out there. You should probably know these kind of groups and people. The kind of people who claim that there's 76 genders or whatever, like Milo freaking Stewart likes to sit there and fucking say, and like freaking Riley Dennis as well, who literally is the kind of person that ultimately would spit in the face of a real trans person because they're pulling off this bullshit. But I think the worst part about it is how PC culture has literally trying to abduct the LGBT community in and of its own self. They're trying to abduct it and make it seem to be this disgusting group of people that nobody should support. And what is my evidence backing up on this claim? I would honestly recommend you watch one of either Milo's videos, like literally it's all over the frickin' place. But also watch a couple of Riley's videos on the aspect of dating preferences, claiming that if you don't date a trans person or whatever like that, then you're a transphobic bigot. Well, and of course, even if you don't, then you need to sit there and fix, quote unquote, your own, personal preferences and your sexuality so much to the point where you can be attracted to those people. Here's a little something I have to sit there and say, Riley freaking Dennis. This is the kind of shit that the anti-LGBT groups out there, Christian supposed groups out there, have been literally trying to do for the longest time. Basically, what you're literally trying to do is sit there and advocate for conversion therapy in your kind of own way. Guess what, people? Best yet, guess what, Riley, and all you other SJW idiots out there in the world today? You don't understand what sexuality truly is. You claim you do, but you really don't. Sexuality is a spectrum. It's something that is different for everybody. While I myself personally am bi myself, I am a lot more attracted to men than I am to women. But that doesn't mean, though, that I'm not attracted to women in one way or another. Whether it be romantic or a sexual kind of nature, it is most likely both on those matters. Like I said, it's a spectrum. It doesn't make me any less more bi. It just means that I have a higher preference for a specific group of people. You sitting there and claiming that just because of the fact that I want to freaking date and be with a man for the rest of my life makes me misogynistic. And let me be honest with you people, there are actual PC idiots that are claiming that gay people are misogynistic. I'm not joking. Gay men are ultimately misogynistic because of the fact that they don't really include women too much. Hello, Earth 2 fucking idiot out there. To you PC idiots that don't seem to have your brains turned all the way on, why exactly are gay men misogynistic? Why exactly is that? Is it because of the fact that they're not attracted to you? Is that because of the fact that they want nothing to do with you, and that in a sexual form, or maybe even possibly in even a romantic form? You claim that because of their own sexuality, it makes them a freaking misogynist? Or some shit like that? Yeah, I have this to say to those kind of people. Fuck you. Like, completely and utterly fuck you. In more ways than one, I hope. Because you're sitting there trying to put out that, you have to sit there and force yourself to sit there and change your own preferences, which nobody can do, let's be honest here. You can't change what you like. You can't change who you are attracted to. It's not a possibility. It doesn't matter how much conversion therapy you go through. You're never going to change who you are, and you shouldn't look to change who you are in that perspective, because it can't be changed. That's a full-on fact, Riley fucking Dennis, Milo fucking Stewart, and all you other PC pieces of shit out there. So yeah, watch those videos and literally look at every other kind of thing too, and tell me that they aren't homophobic pieces of shit, or they aren't transphobic pieces of shit, because many of them are. They're an insult to trans people out there who suffer with real dysphoria, who literally can't sit there and even look at what they have. Dysphoria is a pain in the fucking ass for a lot of people to deal with. Don't believe me? Look at Blair White. Look at many other transgender people out there in the world who have to sit there and suffer with dysphoria. It's a pain in the fucking ass for a lot of people. And honestly, you're not helping their fucking situations as well by sitting there and claiming that your masculine gender thing, non-binary bullshit, yada yada yada. No. Fucking no. Now, there's another thing I want to talk about too. Non-binary. I personally won't care if somebody wants me to identify them as that. Now, here's my thing when it comes to the aspect of being non-binary. And this is what Tumblr and of their own selves like to sit there and say, that people in of their own selves usually don't, have that claim that basically gender in of its own self is a social construct, and thus they can be either or they can be neither. That's an impossibility, people. And here's the main thing, and I actually remember talking with somebody who is a non-binary person, who claims to be non-binary. And like I said, I have no problem with people who are. I mean, I can honestly understand that there are people out there, especially trans people out there, that probably have no fucking clue who they really are. I mean, there are some, of course, most of the time, though, it's usually the exact opposite gender. But I mean, for people who are, say, who are hermaphrodites or born intersex and these kind of things, I am completely and utterly understanding on that matter. Many people who are born that kind of way sometimes have this idea of, what the fuck am I? Am I a boy? Am I a girl? What the hell am I? I mean, it's those kind of things and of their own selves that make non-binary in that kind of way understandable and true. I mean, in those situations, though, when there are people who are born intersex or herm, who have literally no idea, what they are, I can understand if they would identify themselves as being non-binary in one way or another. I have no problem with that. And if anything, it's fine. I'm fine with that if that was the case. But even with trans people, I can understand in only a limited circumstance, for people who are extremely confused about what their gender are. I mean, but obviously, though, that's not the majority case. That's only that's only a tiny speck of what actually happens. And that's the only time I'll really use the aspect of non-binary. But even on that matter, though, many of them I know who use the whole genders and all that thing, the 76 genders, they, like I said, it's already a big, punch in the fucking face to many trans people who have to suffer horribly with gender dysphoria, and people like intersex people or hermaphrodites who have to sit there and struggle with their own freaking gender as well. It's bad enough that they have to sit there and suffer through this kind of thing, and I honestly have so much sympathy for those people who are suffering horribly, and my thoughts and prayers go out to all of you out there. Truly, I do. I really do. I really understand, and I really mean that. But it's a big insult to to transgender people and intersex and whoever, because of the fact of the matter that these people are, just picking a gender to try and make themselves out to feel special. That's literally all it is. They want to sit there and make themselves feel like these special kind of people, these special snowflakes. And I know snowflakes is often a term that's constantly being berated, and I know that it's honestly lost a little bit of its charm, but it's still the truth. If anything, it's disgusting that people would really ever consider doing this kind of thing, that people would be so disgustingly insensitive in so many manners to sit there and spit in the face of numerous individuals out there who suffer through this kind of thing just because of the fact that he wants some fucking attention. And even if you really think you are like this demi-queer, derp sandwich, whatever the fuck you think you really are, you need to honestly think a little bit of what you're doing. Because I can guarantee you that you're fucking over the community in so many ways. Now, if you think I'm done on that specific topic, I'm far from it. This is something that even is very prominent in the community itself. Now, I do believe that this has some aspects to do with PC-related bullshit, but I also do believe that this is something as well that some people do have a problem with, but I do think that it's mostly in the aspects of PC people. There are plenty of people out there in the community themselves, but mostly with PC idiots, who think that bisexuality is not a thing. I'm not joking. There are literally people that think that bisexuals do not exist. In fact, I can even recall a little story on that matter, talking about this situation. I remember being on Fur Affinity once, just browsing around and everything, and I decided to look up, bisexual, whatever it is. Was it porn or whatever? I don't fucking know. And then I wound up coming to at least a couple of little notes or something claiming that bisexuality does not exist, and that it's not actually a thing, and that you're either gay or you're either straight, and that there's no middle ground. Yeah, to the people that are promoting this kind of ideological bullshit, fuck you to the fullest extent of the fucking word. You deserve literally every ounce of pain you can get, because you're literally spitting on nearly half the fucking community out there that you claim to support. Bisexuals and biromantic people exist as much as gays, lesbians, and trans people exist. We don't pick and choose who we are attracted to, just as you don't. The only main difference, I think, is the fact that bisexuals and biromantics, are attracted either romantically or sexually or both to either or gender. So for them, it's not exactly that big of a deal. They have a lot more fish in the sea and of their own selves. But of course, there's also the negative stereotypes that are continuously spit on, like saying that bisexual people are not faithful, they're not any of this, they cheat, they are these disgusting perverts, or they're, it's a phase or whatever, or like a bisexual phase. I literally have had people sit there and say that to me, and I find it absolutely disgusting in ways you never would have guessed. You would have never honestly fucking guessed. It's absolutely disgusting in more ways than you would think, that people would be so disgusted, so awful as to sit there and claim that bisexual people don't exist. I mean, there's already bi erasure and things like that in television and all these other things, because let's be honest here, people. When have any of us ever really taken much of into consideration that, maybe a guy who's dating a woman or something, who likes a girl or whatever, but goes off and kisses a guy or something or whatever, or enjoys kissing guys? I mean, why is it that it's automatically classified as being gay? I mean, why is it not considered bi? That's literally a question I happen to have, especially watching some TV shows, or even reading fan fiction or whatever the hell it is. Why is it not considered bi? Why does it seem like this person's always a closeted homosexual? When in all due sincerity, bisexuality is literally one of the biggest things out there. And of course, obviously, there's nothing wrong with it. So why is it that PC culture and other bullshitters trying to completely throw all that shit out, or completely make up their own version of a gender or version of a sexuality? And that's another problem too. Tumblr literally is trying to make up so many different sexualities as well that it's a fucking insult. There's a lot of them, like demi-queer, this kind of thing, romantic. I mean, not like bi-romantic or even on that kind of manner. But I mean, so many different kind of sexualities that I can't even think of it. And yet we wonder why people out there don't support us, why people hate us, why people don't want anything to do with us, and why people ultimately sit there and go over to the religious right. Because if anything, these PC idiots are literally these PC idiots are literally giving ammunition and supposed evidence to back up that claim. And there actually was this one specific YouTuber that I know of that I used to be completely supportive of, James Allsup. If you don't know who he is, he's basically a really conservative-based YouTuber. Unfortunately, though, I remember watching a video regarding the aspect, of LGBT issues and rights and things like that. I mean, I'm not saying that he has a problem with gay people or things like that. I mean, maybe I might be taking this a bit out of... And I'm not trying to do that. And if I am wrong on this, forgive me, James, because I'm not trying to spread any misinformation. But I do remember there was a video I watched that pretty much said that, I think there was even a period of time he was talking about back when he was a libertarian. He believed that it just didn't matter what people ultimately did, provided that they only stuck it with their bedrooms. But, this also brings me to, even watching the video in of its own self, especially this young drag queen boy, who's literally only fucking, 8 or 9 years old, going out there and dressing up like a girl, drag queen and things like that. Now, I have no problem with drag queens, to be honest. I don't care if people are drag queens. But this is the biggest problem here when it comes to this kind of shit that the PC fucking culture is literally trying to shove down people's fucking throats. They are trying to sit there and completely fuck over the LGBT community by sitting there and trying to bring in children with this kind of thing, especially with drag queen kind of deal. You don't know who I'm talking about? I will make sure to leave a link down in the description below for you guys to see who this kid is. I actually remember watching an article on the news and everything about a young boy, like 7 or 8 years old, who's literally cross-dressing, who's going out there with a bunch of other people, and you know something I can see? People in of their own selves, this is the kind of shit that is literally giving them much more ammo to claim that the community in of its own self, gays, lesbians, or whoever the fuck we are, or whoever the fuck they are, in their words, and honestly, you know, are a bunch of predators that want to sit there and, you know, mess around with young kids, that we want to sexualize young children, and we want to sit there and do all this crazy shit. And I even remember this one specific video, I think it was a clip from a live stream of him, of James Allsup saying, you know, why exactly are there more, you know, molestations and everything going on with the LGBT community? You know, why is there a lot more gay, you know, abuse? I mean, I have not yet seen any remote evidence to truly back that up, and I think that's honestly something that was said back in around the 70s or something, that, you know, gay people are a lot more to sit there and molest children, which is bullshit. More heterosexual people are more likely to molest children than gay people are. I mean, but even on that matter, though, what the hell would a gay guy who was attracted to big old giant men with giant fucking abs, or a woman who sits there and likes giant freaking boobies and shit like that, what the fuck would they want to sit there and do with a young kid who can't even sit there and consent on that matter? But this is obviously what PC culture has done. It has sexualized young children and slapped on the LGBT community. Literally slapped the LGBT community on there. But I think, and I'm going to wrap this up relatively quickly, and I'm going to make this a couple of parts. So get ready for part 2 when I'm ready for it, because this kind of thing just makes my blood fucking boil. Another thing is that I'm going to be straight here. Pedophiles have been wanting to try and join the LGBT community for the longest time. They have tried numerous attempts, so many times, to try and get themselves in there to claim that they're this oppressed minority, that pedophiles are being treated awfully, that we just love kids and live to... Fuck you. Fuck all pedophile pieces of shit. You want to know a reason why? But yet, here's the thing. The community will never fucking support pedophile pieces of shit. You want to know why? Because kids cannot consent. Kids are not able to understand the concept of sex. They cannot. Their bodies are not ready for it. Their minds are not ready for it. Nothing about it is even remotely ready for it in any form or way. It's something that children do not, cannot, and never will understand until they are adults. But even a little bit then, there are teenagers that sit there and go at it. Because obviously there's hormones going around, you know, puberty, things like that. People are going to be sexually charged. But, I mean, and personally for me, if it's like, you know, a 13-year-old and a 14-year-old, you know, provided that they're consenting with one another and there's no issue and that they're wearing protection and things like that, I don't give a shit what they fucking do. They want to sit there and fuck each other's brains out, that's freaking fine. I mean, provided that you're wearing, you know, that you're wearing the proper protection and everything like such, and you're not, you know, willing to sit there and completely screw over your life in one way or another by having a kid or something along those lines. But I mean, even on that matter, you know, I personally don't have much of an issue really with it. I mean, because, you know, hormones are the time where, you know, you can become extremely sexually charged. You need a release, in a sense. But even if it's between, you know, say like a 13 or 14-year-old or a 15, 16-year-old or whoever the fuck, you know, I don't give a shit. They want to do that kind of thing on their own time, provided that they are practicing safe sex and they're not sitting there and, you know, being extremely careful on this matter. You know, I don't care. I don't give a shit. Let them do what the fuck they want to do. It's going to happen regardless. But there's a huge difference between that and an adult 30-year-old freaking man wanting to sit there and mess around with young kids. Teenagers including. You know, Because of the fact of the matter that even on that matter, they're not exactly sexually mature yet. Even the 14 and 13-year-old that are going at it, the reason why they're going at it is because of hormones. That's exactly the kind of thing that does happen. I mean, it's something that happens. There's nothing that we can do to really control that. But yeah, adults and of their own selves have no right to sit there and screw around with young little kids. They never have the right to do it, and they never will. But with the PC idiots out there, that's exactly the kind of shit that they're trying to fucking push now. PC idiots are trying to defend pedophilia. And I'm not fucking joking here, people. You can look it up right now. There is literally a sign, a literal banner that says, "No pedo bashing." I don't even know where to begin with that. What the fuck? Like, truly, what the motherfuck is wrong with these PC pieces of shit? It's bad enough that you think that white people are racist pieces of shit that need to die. It's bad enough that you think that, white, cisgender people, and I'm gonna get to another part of that. That entire thing pisses me off. I fucking hate saying cisgender, because it's fucking bullshit, if you ask me. But sitting there and, doing all that kind of shit pisses me the fuck off. But getting back to what I'm saying here is that the community already has to deal with enough shit already. I mean, we just managed to get the right to sit there and be able to marry, the people that we marry. We just managed to get ourselves out of that giant hole that prevented us from having the equal right to marry the one that we love, that we dedicated our lives to. Were we willing to find a family? We're still having to sit there and go through with adoption issues and things like that. But for the most part, though, we're able to finally be able to adopt children and give children a wonderful home to live in, to have parents that will love them and treat them with every ounce of love and respect that an average heterosexual couple will do. We are ultimately basically a carbon copy of the nuclear family, but except instead of there being a woman, there's another man that fulfills that role about as equally, and it's fine. We finally had the opportunity to be able to do that. And even now, we're still going through, the issue with job discrimination, where at least in 30-something plus states, it's legal for companies to completely discriminate against people who are gay, lesbian, bisexual, or transgender from ever getting a job based on supposed religious rights or something along those lines. Basically religious-based discrimination or just basic discrimination in general. I mean, there are many states that, 30-plus states where if you're gay, you could be fired in an instant and there's literally nothing that you can do. Sure enough, you might read those kind of things that it's claimed that it's not legal to sit there and do that, but guess what, people? It is. It's legal. It's legal in over 30 states, and it will probably be that way unless we stand up and fight against it. But of course, though, PC idiots are not letting us sitting there and speak our minds on this one. That's the biggest issue here. That's always been the biggest problem. But of course, the pedophile kind of deal is already absolute bullshit. We already have enough shit on our plate as of right now, and we've just managed to get out of that giant pit. But the fact of the matter that PC idiots want to sit there and support pedophilia and other disgusting shit like that, and claim it's a part of the LGBT community and other inclusiveness and things like that, shit like that, then in that and of its own self is literally just a kick to the face. You might as well sit there and grab us right now and throw us back into conversion therapy or whatever, because that's precisely the kind of shit you're going to put us fucking through. Why do you think we have Mike Pence as vice president? Why do you think we have a bunch of other theocrats and other people finally literally being able to rise back up? Why do you think the Republican-based parties and things like that are so high up in power as they are? Because of pieces of shit like you. You PC baby motherfuckers. You want to sit there and condemn the right-wing idiots out there? You're no better than them. In fact, you're fucking worse. And I know I'm going to trigger you, and I hope I fucking do. I hope it makes every one of you SJW pieces of shit cry your fucking eyes out. I hope it triggers you so much to the point where your head explodes, because you know something? You are no less of a bigot than the people out there that want to put us in freaking camps, who want to separate us, segregate us, kill us, murder us. You are no different than them. LGBT fucking Q ally, my fucking ass, you piece of shit. But that's the honest truth there. And this is only part 1, people. This is only part 1. There's a lot more I'm going to talk about. I don't give a shit if this gets demonetized or not. I don't care. Just as long as the message is put out clear, loud and fucking clear, I have no problem with this. I don't give a shit about money. This is something that everyone needs to know and hear. So yeah, that was part 1. Stay tuned for part 2. Thank you guys again for watching. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new here. I can guarantee you there's going to be a lot more to talk about. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below, because I would love to hear your own thoughts. And all the PC idiots out there that I'm going to trigger, I want to hear your comments. I want to pin those comments to the top and watch you get ridiculed like crazy. I want to watch it. I want to drink your SJW tears. Because they're salty and delicious. Okay, I think I've ranted enough as it is. I will be seeing you guys again in the next creepypasta or rant video sometime soon. Love you guys. Bye-bye.